Mr. President, I wanted to know, have you taken a look at some of these models, such as the Imperial College London model, that kind of poses a very difficult choice, whether it's shutting down society or overwhelming the healthcare system? Is that something that
we've looked at every model? We've relied on the very talented people, and there's no better team than the people behind me. And I will say that all of the people that have done those models are all in constant touch with Dr. Birx and Tony and everybody that you've been hearing so much from over the last couple of weeks. We've looked at many different models, and the model we have is we want to save a lot of lives. We want to save a lot of lives. If we get too steep on that curve, you're going to lose a lot of lives, perhaps unnecessarily. Now we're going to find out. Everything has a risk. We're going to see. But if people do what we're telling them to do, what we're asking them to do, you're going to see the saving of a lot of lives. Now, Boris, in UK yesterday, you saw what happened. It looked like they were going a different way, but then he went away of similar, I don't know exactly, but I would say we had a conversation yesterday similar to what we're doing. So a lot of people seem to think this is going to be, we are looking to save the maximum number of lives. Everything else is going to come back. A life is never going to come back, but everything else, our economy is going to come roaring back. You're going to know, we're going to know, we're going to all know that day. If somebody was asking about the day, when will you know? When will you know? We're going to know. All of a sudden, we're going to say, wow, that's looking good. That's looking good. That's looking good. And we're going to be on the other side of the curve. And that's a day that we look forward to. Okay.
Is there something, sir, that you saw this week, though, that made you decide that, yes, now is the time to implement these much more stringent social distancing measures?
No, I don't think so. This is where we were going. I really think from the beginning, this is where we were going. This is what we had in mind. We're just going step by step. That was the next step, the next logical step. As Dr. Fauci said, and I think very importantly, one of the most important things when you write the history of this was the fact that we closed it down to China and Europe, but in particular China. We closed it down to China, the source, very, very early, very, very early, far earlier than even the great professionals wanted to do. And I think in the end, that's going to be, that will have saved a tremendous number of lives.
One on the economy and the other on the broader picture here, but just to follow up on my colleague, some people did note that your tone seemed more somber yesterday. You talked about that August timeline. Did you see a projection? Some people thought perhaps that 2 million potentially that could die maybe prompted part of that. Was there a shift in tone?
I didn't think, I have seen that where people actually liked it, but I didn't feel different. I've always known this is a pandemic. I felt it was a pandemic long before it was called a pandemic. All you had to do is look at other countries. I think now it's in almost 120 countries all over the world. No, I've always viewed it as very serious. There was no difference yesterday from days before. I feel the tone is similar, but some people said it wasn't.
Your former economic advisor said almost 100% chance of a recession. Do you see it that way?
It could be. I don't think in terms of recession. I think in terms of getting it out, because when we're finished with the virus, we will win. We will win. And when that victory takes place, our economy is going to go through the roof. It is so pent up. It is so built up. It is so ready to go in an upward direction. But we have to knock out this enemy. This is a really tough enemy, but we have to knock out all of us. That's all of us. So I don't think in terms of recession, not recession. It's words. We have to knock out this, and we will have an economy. I actually think we'll have an economy like we've never had before. It's all pent up. Did you have something to say, Mike? Yes.
I think the question about the actions that the president's authorized, beginning in January, when he took the unprecedented step of suspending all travel from China, the efforts to issue travel advisories for portions of Italy and South Korea, and then to begin screening all the passengers. The efforts regarding suspending travel from Europe and what went into effect at midnight last night, adding the UK and Ireland to that, have all been informed by the experts that are surrounding us. What the president's asked us to do from the very beginning, as Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci often say, is let's follow the data, bring the president the best options in response to what is actually happening on the ground. But with regard to yesterday's 15-day slow the spread plan, Our team unanimously brought to the president these very strong recommendations for every American, because we truly believe we are at a point in this epidemic in our country when we can reduce the number of people that actually are exposed to or contract the coronavirus. But we'll continue to bring the best data, the best evidence, and the best recommendations, frankly, of the best health experts in the world. And the president will continue to make decisions that put the health of America first.
In other words, reduce the number of people that die. That's what we're trying to do. And when you do the steep curve, a lot of people are going to die. A lot of people. You know, the worst ever, they say 1918. And I don't have to go into the numbers, but they were unbelievable numbers. Had they known and had they done what we had now, it would have been a very much different story. It would still be tragic, but it would have been a very much different. But that was the one that people write about. That was an incredible pandemic, like we haven't seen. But we have done something that I hopefully we will all have made the right moves. We're all in this together, including you, and we want to see fair press. And I tell you what, it's been generally speaking, I think it's been a great thing to see. It's been very, very the getting along with Democrats, getting along with Republicans, for the Democrats themselves. There's been a lot of spirit. There's been a lot of things happening that I haven't seen happen in the first almost now 3.5 years. It's been very, very nice to see. That's one of the good things. But what really the good thing is, we have to knock it out. We have to win. And we want to keep that slope as low as possible, because that's a lot of lives in there. Let's go back there. Somebody that didn't get one, please. Go ahead.
Mr. President, this has had a huge impact on China's economy as well. Have you received any indication from officials there that they're going to have trouble meeting the purchase agreements, part of the phase 1 deal, particularly the agricultural buy?
Well, they need our product very badly. And no, I haven't received any. Good relationship with China. I have not received anything to that. No, we have a signed agreement. They're going to be buying, and they have been buying a lot of product. Yeah, please.
Earlier today, Dr. Birx was talking about the possibility of our hospital system being overburdened, overtaxed. And she talked about certain options that are available to the United States if that happens, including VA hospitals, Department of Defense medical treatment facilities, and even hospital ships. At what point do you tap into those options?
Well, I'll know the point. And by speaking with Governor Cuomo and other governors, we're going to know the point. It's going to be different for New York than it's going to be from, Iowa or from Idaho or from West Virginia, frankly, or for, it's different. New York has got a big problem. The state of Washington has a big problem. California has some big problems. Everyone's doing a good job, but we're going to know when it will be. And I believe it'll be more spot than it will be. It's not going to be the whole thing. It's going to be spots. There are some hot spots that are in trouble, big trouble. And there are other areas that are in no trouble at all. They watch it on television. They don't know, it's just not affecting them. And they're lucky. They're lucky. But there are areas of the country that don't have much of a problem, and some that don't have any problem. They're not going to have a problem with hospitals, but some areas like New York, California, state of Washington, they're going to have some difficulty. And when we see that coming, we're going to be in there. We're already making preparation for it.
Senator Marco Rubio of Florida, your trade advisor, Peter Navarro, have been recommending an executive order that would ensure that the raw materials for pharmaceuticals and medical devices are manufactured here in the United States. We were getting some indications last week that you were close to signing this executive order. Can you tell us?
Well, we're looking at different things, John. I don't want to say exactly. Right now, China's been sending us everything we need, but we're looking at some alternatives. Yes, we are looking for alternatives. And we have other places. Ireland does a lot of work for us. You know that in that world, in the pharma world, very tremendous producer. And we are looking to bring a lot more back home. And you know me for a long time. I've been talking about this for many years, long before I decided to run for president. I've been talking about this, and we have to be able to take care of our country. And that was one of the many things on the list. So we'll be talking about it, but we are discussing it, and Marco is very much involved, and Peter is very much involved. A lot of people are involved, and a lot of people feel that way, but we'll be discussing. Let's go, please.
Thank you, sir. You said Canada has closed its border to non-citizens. Are you considering,
Not to the United
not to
States.
the United States, of course, are you considering closing the land borders in the United States? And also you've
Well,
discussed.
Canada has not closed it to the United States. So we're working very closely with Canada, but they have not closed it. They have closed it to the world, but they have not closed it to the United
Are you
States.
considering closing the U.S. land borders?
I don't want to say that, but we are discussing things with Canada, and we're discussing things with Mexico, quite honestly. And again, the relationship is outstanding with both. Outstanding. We just signed our deal, USMCA, and the relationship is very strong. Go ahead, please.
China and others have criticized you for using the phrase Chinese virus. How do you feel about that? Are you going to continue using that phrase?
Well, China was putting out information which was false, that our military gave this to them. That was false. And rather than having an argument, I said, I have to call it where it came from. It did come from China. So I think it's a very accurate term. But no, I didn't appreciate the fact that China was saying that our military gave it to them. Our military did not give it to anybody.
Critics say using that phrase creates a stigma.
No, I don't think so. No, I think saying that our military gave it to them creates a stigma.
Mr. President,
Please.
When you speak to travel